last episode, we were inspired by the stupa, the earliest stone structure of Indian Buddhism. Yet Buddhism was not only about the dead, but also the living, practicing community. This spiritual discipline required infrastructure for its practicing monks, which in the Buddhist day were simple wooden monasteries in the forest, which would have decayed or been abandoned quite quickly as the monks moved on in their wandering lifestyle. But as the caves of Ajanta and Ellora show, monks and eventually teachers of other religions discovered they could build more permanent sanctuaries as long as they had the help of some wealthy patrons. For the first time, the Buddhist Sangha was becoming sedentary for a longer period of time other than during the rains period from July to October, when monks stayed primarily in one location, laying the foundations for the great monasteries of ancient and medieval India. This physical rock, so solid, so powerful, so sturdy, lent a sense of permanence to a religious community which preached the impermanence of all things. But the rock also lent itself to some of the most beautiful Buddhist art to be found in India, best of which can be found at the site of Ajanta. So many are these caves, so numerous and complex are their facades, that we can only manage a cursory admiration of these master works of masonry. Aside from the stupa, Indian Buddhist architecture can be characterized by two more types of structures, Chaitya Griha and Vihara. In principle, Chaityas were simply structures with stupas inside. The stupa itself will be surrounded by a colonnaded processional path, enclosed by an altar wall, with a congregation adjoining it for a community's stupa worship. Viharas, in contrast, were large quadrangular courts with walls flanked by chapels for meditation or sleeping. The furthest wall led to an entrance to a shrine with a Buddha statue and sculptures of his attendants. What was the difference between these two structures? How did they evolve in relation to each other? We'll probably never know for sure, but what we do know is that many cave complexes have a bit of both. As time passed, the interiors of the Vihara and Chaitya became more elaborate and codified. Surfaces were often decorated with paintings that became recognized as standard fare for cave art. These aren't just statues or friezes hammered into open holes in the mountains. They were multi-story buildings carved into the mountain face to offer living and sleeping quarters, kitchens, and space for meditation and religious rituals. But how were they really built? What was life like in the caves? And why were they abandoned? Like with so many things in Indian Buddhism, we will probably never know the full answer to these questions. The lives of the people who made these caves and lived in them are so remote, so detached from our own time, that we can only deal in possibilities and probabilities. But that doesn't mean geographic facts are lost to us. Looking over the stream Ragora, the Ajanta caves are 104 kilometers from the city of Aurangabad in Maharashtra, consisting of 30 rock-cut monuments. Begun during the Satavahana dynasty in 100 BCE, 5 of the caves are Chaityas and 24 are Viharas. There is one structure that is still incomplete. A long time ago, these dwellings would have been full of life, bustling with monks and artisans. The famous Chinese pilgrim, Xuanzang, wrote that the Buddhist logician, the Naga, stayed here. They also would have been overflowing with colors, with the dyes and pigments artists painstakingly mixed to bring the murals to life. Most of these are gone, but one cannot fail but be awestruck to see the remaining artistry that still adorns these walls. Just look at the colors, so vibrant, so intricate. And here are the famed Vrajapani and Padmapani, the Buddhist protector divinities. They are the guardians of the Buddha. Court life, royalty, games, intimate and personal scenes of everyday life. These are not simply beautiful masterpieces. These naturalistic effortlessly expressed friezes tell stories. Many were inspired by the scenes of Indian royalty. Look at these courtiers, these princesses and kings. The grandeur is often softened by the gentle touch of family life. The painters would surely have had to have experience working in the palaces of the Satavahana and Vakataka courts. The art of these caves were a crossroads between monastic and imperial life. Paintings from the old tales of the Jatakas, the Buddha's past lives, are featured exclusively on the walls. These caves are not simply sanctuaries for holy people seeking shelter. They are time capsules, whispering to its living visitors the stories of long-dead communities.